What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, Amaze the Storyteller, back at you with a brand new video. Today, you read the title correctly, we're going to be talking about Dad's bones. See what's up with the bones. Now, I apologize, I do have COVID. My voice is scratchy. That's why I haven't been posting much the last couple of days. But y'all, my channel has been growing like crazy. Please keep up this support. My goal with this channel is to build a community that's safe for individuals to talk about the things they love, such as One Piece, fitness, fighting, whatever. I'll support it. But anyway, let's get into it. Annie, let's get into the video. So we're talking about Daz Bones. Who is Daz Bones? Who is the Dice Fruit user himself? Dog, let me tell you, I remember being a kid and watching One Piece and being amazed with this power. This power is like one of those powers where you and your friends are sitting in a bunk bed, talking late at night when your parents told you all to go to bed, and you're like, dude, you know it'd be cool if I could turn my hand into blades. And then your friend's like, oh shit, dude, that would be fucking cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of those powers. And Daz Bones has it. Not only does Daz Bones have that devil fruit ability, he also is just a badass character. I mean, when looking back when he was an Impel Down being boiled alive by the heat of level 4, the dude was just tanking it like it was nothing. He was jamming with the heat. He's like, bro, I'm made of steel. Y'all can't touch me. Now, it's important to note that the Sea Prism cuffs did nullify his powers, so the dude is just tough. Dude's just tough as nails. And there's this scene where Zoro cut him down with Lion Song. Beautiful scene by Zoro. So much growth from both Zoro and Mr. One, because you know Daz Bones, Mr. One, had to grow from that moment. He was, Daz Bones was so cocky back then, he probably thought nothing could touch him, because he's made of steel, you know what I mean? He's probably just like chilling, cutting people up in the West Blue. He was a bounty hunter in the West Blue, dicing people up, and he got such a massive notoriety that when his bounty came out, it was 60 million berries. It's important to note that that was in the Vivre card, but still, as a bounty hunter, who for the most part isn't killing civilians, might be doing excess damage, but who knows? I mean, as a bounty hunter, to have a bounty on your head, it's kind of crazy when you actually think about it. So Daz Bones must have been a threat. But he's dicing people up and he's thinking, can't be touched. I'm so damn cool. And then he meets Zoro. And Zoro absolutely humbles him. A no-name pirate hunter from the East Blue just, with Lion Song. And I know what you guys are thinking. Zoro's not a no-name pirate from the East Blue. He was known throughout because he was the pirate hunter. Let me tell y'all something. Daz Bones being from the West Blue and having a 60 million berry bounty, not only that, need I remind you that there's a scene in both the manga and anime where Crocodile's sitting down reading a newspaper, grinning to himself, and he says, it's time to go back to the sweet old new world, to Mr. One, to Daz Bones he's saying this to, which implies, possibly, that Daz Bones might have already thrived in the New World at some point. And it's not outlandish to think that. I have a whole theory about that, but I don't want to ramble on. I want to keep talking about Mr. One's character. Mr. One, as a character, signifies so much within the beginning portion of One Piece. One of the things he signifies is massive growth for Zoro's potential. Remember, at this point, Zoro could not cut steel. Mr. One, Daz Bones, was a plot device to allow Zoro to figure out the beginnings of Haki and allowed him to cut steel for the first time. So Daz Bones has a major role within the story, even if you guys don't like him, which I don't know how you couldn't like him. He's fucking cool. Now, Daz Bones' role to play in Alabasta is fairly straightforward. His only job is to serve as the second in command to Mr. Zero, who is Crocodile, and to absolutely destroy the Straw Hat Pirates. I mean, his goal was to kill Nami and Zoro. Nami and Zoro separated, and then it was an isolated battle, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, blade versus blade, against the three swordsmen himself. But, that does not take away from the unibrow, guys. Daz Bones has a crazy unibrow. I think that's what gives him so much strength. Let's talk a little bit about his devil fruit, okay? S-Hawk now has it, and we've seen S-Hawk use it at Egghead Island, and it's absolutely powerful in the hands of like a Mihawk duplicate. But that doesn't mean that it's weak in the hands of Mr. One. I don't think Mr. One utilized it in the fullest extent. I think he definitely had more potential than he utilized, because like, Dude, you're only using it on your phalanges. Use it on, like, your elbows and your legs and shit, man. Use it on your back and just, like, jigsaw. And, you know, him with the circular saw punches was really cool. I remember being like 5 and losing my shit. I was like, oh God, no! And then he's just like, and Zoro's like, you know, it reminded me of the time when Arlong, like, removed Zoro's bandages and was just like, you know, but that speaks more to Zoro than it does Mr. One. What makes Daz Bones so cool to me is that his character design is super simplistic. And in the world of One Piece, when you have so many really cool characters, sometimes simplicity stands out more and speaks more volumes to a calm, collected character like Mr. One. Because Mr. One cannot be phased, dude. Like, when we go back to Impel Down, the dude was in level 4 cooking, and it meant nothing. Other prisoners said their intestines were boiling alive. That's what they felt. But Daz Bones wasn't affected. In fact, he axed off a guy. The dude's, like, running from behind, and Daz Bones is just chilling, and the dude, like, hits him to get out of the way. Major mistake, because Daz Bones is a badass, as we've established, and Daz Bones is holding a giant log and just turns, knocking this bitch off the side of the fucking railing. So Daz Bones is not to be messed with, even outside of the Straw Hat fights. Let us move on to his bounty. Now, it's said that he has a 60 million buried bounty. However, I couldn't find that in actual writing, like within the canon of the manga. So this might have been from an SBS, or maybe it was from a Vivre card, which is highly likely. Now, as I mentioned before, this really speaks volumes for Mr. One. This means that with as non-violent tendencies as he has, because he could have been way more violent as a pirate. You know, there's restrictions as a bounty hunter, otherwise the Marines won't give you the fucking bounty. So, there were restrictions on him, legally speaking, and he was still able to obtain a 60 million berry bounty pre-time skip. By the way, that was huge. That was huge, because that was the only, like, that was the largest threat that Zoro and Luffy had ever faced within the story. For sure, by, like, eons, okay? It's important to remember that bounties aren't a reflection of power. In fact, they're the opposite. They're reflections of crimes committed. So it has nothing to do with Mr. One or Daz Bones' combat capability, but it has everything to do with the crimes that he committed, whether they were heinous, whether they were misdemeanors, whether they were, you know, petty thefts, whatever. He had a 60 million berry bounty placed on his head for who knows what. Because he was a bounty hunter, his job was to kill the bad guys. So how could he obtain such a high bounty? Well, I have a theory. This theory essentially evolves to where... Sorry about that, my dog came in. This theory pretty much sums up how I feel about Daz Bones as a whole. I think Daz Bones was so ruthless when he killed pirates that he actually destroyed the environment around him, risking the lives of civilians. Because he didn't necessarily target civilians from what we saw. He mainly just killed everybody who was in his crosshairs. So the excess damage definitely earned him a large bounty, which is crazy to think about. He did so much damage to property. They were like, 60 million berries, kill him. Anyway, his relationship with Crocodile is also weird. Have you guys ever wondered, like, what it is between those two? Because I feel like whenever you have a character like Daz Bones and Crocodile having a relationship, there's always something more to it. What do I mean by this? Well, essentially, you have to remember that Daz Bones had never met Mr. Zero before Alabasta. He never met him. Never met the dude, but yet now has undying loyalty to Crocodile somehow. What? What? You just met Crocodile. As Mr. One, you just meet Crocodile. Crocodile's like, fuck you, but also cool. And then you're like, bet. And then you follow him blindly? No, here's my theory on that. And this is going to be wild. So put your tinfoil hats on, everybody. Put them on. Put them on. Crocodile and Daz Bones are both Okama. And Crocodile comes from Okama Island. Like, what if Crocodile was actually born on Okama Island? And born on the Grand Line, which I think his Vivre card actually says he was born in the Grand Line. So imagine he comes from Okama Island itself, right? And that's how he has that relationship with Ivankov, and it's a secret he doesn't want getting out. He doesn't want people to know that he's a fucking Okama by birth. He doesn't want people to know that. Which, you and me, being the accepting community we are, we don't care. But there are some communities out there that wouldn't accept that, especially as a warlord. A warlord's an all-encompassing title. You don't just become a warlord. You gotta do shit. You gotta fucking hold your head almighty and stuff. So Crocodile's image could potentially be ruined through his association with the Okama Kingdom and, by extension, Ivankov. However, maybe Daz Bones, you sly dude, you. Maybe Daz is a closet Okama and has been watching the Okamas closely in hopes that he becomes one himself. And that's how he knew Crocodile's secret. I know, right? Absolutely crazy. And that's why he would follow him blindly to death, dude. Because he feels so strongly that emotional bond to Crocodile. Because again, in the One Piece world, they're not accepting at all. Like, it's less accepting than our world. So could you imagine being an Okama in that world? It'd be pretty bad. It'd be pretty bad. You're getting sliced up. People don't like you for no reason. It wouldn't be good. So Daz Bones would have to be, secretive. And he's a secretive guy anyway. And he's watching and he sees Crocodile, escaping Kama Island and doing his thing. And he's just bewildered. Like, Crocodile is somebody that Daz Bones looks up to tenfold. It's a beautiful thing. Very, very beautiful. And I apologize. I gotta keep cutting it because I got stuff built up in my throat. I do have COVID, so please don't hate me for this video. Now, we've mentioned that Daz Bones is an incredibly powerful individual. Same with Crocodile. We've established that. But here's the craziest part of it all. And I know I'm gonna get hate for this, so I want to preface this by saying it's important to remember that Buggy's a figurehead, and when it comes to the power and monetary aspect, it comes down to Mihawk and Crocodile being the two shadow Yonko that support Buggy. Okay? That being said, you can classify Crocodile and Mihawk as Yonko at the highest and Yonko commanders at the lowest. By extension, Daz Bones is a Yonko commander. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't torch me. I didn't write the story. That's just the truth of it all, okay? He is a freaking Yonko commander, and I love that. One of the things that I think is so captivating for me about One Piece is that I get attached to a minor character, and then Oda takes that minor character who has like maybe 1 or 2 feats within the story, and then brings them back into relevancy for them to do something cool again. And the thing that Daz Bone did that's so cool is become a fucking Yonko commander. So anyway, let's move on talking about Daz Bones. We can't mention him without talking about the Impel Down arc, or as it's pronounced, Impel, but where I come from, you gotta shorten vowels, so it's Impel Down. As we talked about, Mr. 1 survived level 4, which is the Intense Inferno Hell. That's where heat is so strong that it boils your insides because boiling blood is right beneath you. And you're doing your thing, they make you like throw logs into the fire below, and they essentially make you into slave labor on level 4 from what we saw. Now, I mentioned before that a dude runs up and punches Mr. 1 in the back of the head. Mr. 1 then proceeds to turn around, utilize the log, and flips this guy over the railing, killing him because the dude falls into the boiling vat. Now, this dude falling into the boiling vat... switch the letters around there. This dude falling into the boiling vat isn't that important itself. What is important to remember is that everybody on level 4, as stated by Mr. 2, is worth more than 50 million berries. And when you rewatch the Impel Down arc and you see Mr. 1 there, he intimidates not only the other prisoners, but the prison guards themselves. Do you know what it takes to intimidate an Impel Down guard? It's gotta take a lot. Those dudes see a lot of shit. And plus, they're in the environments with the inmates. These guys are not your run-of-the-mill prison guards. They're tough as nails. Their job is to keep you in check because you're worth millions. You, as a pirate, were worth millions, and you were killing people left and right. So these guys gotta be tough. They gotta be mean. They gotta be harsh. It's crazy. Now, when he was escaping, He was with the most powerful individuals in the whole entirety of One Piece. He was with Jinbei, Crocodile, he was with the gang, he was with Ivankov, and he still showed his down support for Crocodile. I mean, the dude was killing people left and right. And like when you had scenes where like Ivankov, Buggy, and Luffy would joke, the serious trio would be Jinbei, Mr. One, and Crocodile. These guys took no shit from anybody until Mr. Two sacrificed himself. And you see Mr. One actually show some kind of emotion with his unibrow. His unibrow is normally straight, but when you watch him again, his unibrow gets curved because he shows compassion for Mr. Two and appreciation for letting them escape from what was otherwise an impossible mission. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this video. What role does Mr. One, or will Mr. One, play within the Cross Guild? This dude is going to be mega powerful. I'm going to tell you a couple reasons why. Number one, with a Rio hockey buff, with a hockey buff in general, and with observation hockey, with the 3 hockeys, the dude's going to be unstoppable. Not to mention, I don't want to talk about hockey too much, but imagine him just utilizing hockey with his blades. Like, that would be insane. Moving on from hockey, though, imagine him using his Devil Fruit Awakening. What would that look like? The only paramecia, to my knowledge, that we've seen is Doflamingo awaken his Devil Fruit. And he can turn inanimate objects into his strings and control them. Imagine Mr. One being able to turn the ground into gyrating blades. That'd be insane. That'd be insane. You'd be standing before him and he taps his foot and then everything before him turns into blades and you get sucked in. It's like putting meat in a meat grinder. It's horrible. Horrible. Mr. One's awesome. Anyway, his role within the Cross Guild is going to be insane because he is really the only member we know of that is powerful, that needs a redemption. And he'll either A, be defeated, which sounds crazy, but he would be defeated to show, like, the Marines aren't going to just stand by for this. They're going to take out some heavy hitters within the Cross Guild. Or he's going to take out somebody heavy. He's going to take out like a vice admiral or an admiral and show the world how dangerous Cross Guild is. Like, could you imagine Mr. One squaring off against Green Bull? Dude, I'm telling you right now, my money with hockey is on Mr. One. His Devil Fruit's like the antithesis to Green Bull. And then they bring in Green Bull. Like, Green Bull's been shown to be an asshat this entire time. Who the fuck is a Green Bull fan? If you are, I'm very sorry. We appreciate you being here. But Mr. One would dice that fucker up, put him into a blender with hockey, and slap his little ass around. There's nothing Green Bull can do against Mr. One. It's just not happening. So here's how I envision it going down. Mr. One, in the newspapers, is revealed to have captured and killed Green Bull, collecting the reward for Cross Guild, putting Cross Guild not only on the map, but putting Cross Guild as a major threat within the One Piece world. Because what I want Cross Guild to essentially be, and what I want Mr. One to be the forefront of, is a new threat with the dawn of the New Age pirates. This new age of piracy is more about hunting the hunters. Right? No longer are pirates going to tolerate the mistreatment of being either a slave if you're a civilian or, fighting your entire life just to make a decent living. They're going to combat that. They're going to take on those fucking Marines and X them. Absolutely kill them and gain and amass power from it, because the more you weaken your enemies, the more power you inevitably gain. Whether it's landmass, because the more Marine bases the Cross Guild takes out, the more political run that the Cross Guild actually maintains, making them super formidable. And one thing about Luffy, and I know this is a Mr. One video, I'm going to sidetrack for a second. One thing about Luffy as an emperor is people follow him willingly. He doesn't actually exude his power of force to conquer people. That's where Cross Guild comes in. Cross Guild would conquer Navy HQ bases, turning them into metropolises, boosting the economy structure, and gaining their support. That's essentially what America did, if you guys aren't familiar with American economics. Essentially, during the Revolution, we said, fuck the British, and we turned it into a metropolis after conquering the British. So, again, I'm not pro-America propaganda. I'm just saying that is what happened. And with Cross Guild, they could do the exact same thing. They could take out the established Navy HQ bases, turn them into Metropolis, and keep going, getting the civilian support on their side, which inevitably will be the back-end collapse of the world government. You know, and this will feed in alongside of what Dragon wants. Dragon with the Revolutionary Army could easily partner with the Cross Guild as a mercenary operation and take out the Marines little by little, conforming their Navy HQ bases into essentially what is Metropolis for civilians. Now, it's important to remember that we don't know Crocodile's motive. And if we don't know Crocodile's motive, we don't really know by extension what Mr. One's motive is. So Mr. One could just be in it for the money. And I could have been wrong about the Okama thing earlier in this video. Mr. One could just want that sweet, sweet bag, and Crocodile has loads of it somehow. By the way, do we even know how Crocodile makes his money from the underground? Really weird. He's always seemed to be this rich Bond villain, but we don't actually see how he makes money. Like, we've never seen his business transactions. Except for the casino. But I digress. Anyway, Mr. One would head up this operation. And he's not going to be alone. There's going to be a few powerhouses with him, but I can see Mr. One getting a huge, huge power upgrade and really being the forefront of heading that arrow of Cross Guild. Sorry, I keep cutting the video to cough. But Mr. One heading up that arrow that is Cross Guild is such an important plot device because he's a character that we recognize, that we love, and that we want to see more of. So when Oda uses him, he's going to use him as a powerhouse, or he's going to use him to get defeated. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching my videos and supporting me. In the last few days, I've grown so much more as a channel and as a YouTuber. I hope I'm getting better at these videos. Please, if there's any way I can make these more entertaining, let me know in the comments below. I love you all. I do have COVID, so I hope I get better in time to make more videos. But anyway, guys, I'll see you at the next YouTube campfire. Bye-bye!